in to the hottest station on the planet.
Resistance is futile. The revolution has begun.
You're listening to Rebelpreneur Radio, helping you break the rules and build the business you need for the life you want. And now, broadcasting his pirate signal
from somewhere beyond the status quo,
here's your host, best-selling author, marketing and media strategist, Ralph Brogden.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Rebelpreneur Radio, the show that helps you build the business you need so you can live the life you want. I'm Ralph Brogden. You've probably heard a lot about the importance of developing your brand, your voice, your story, but everyone has different ideas about exactly what that means. Is it something you need? I would say absolutely, but how do you go about building your brand, developing your voice and your story? And how do you make all that part of a marketing plan that really works? Today's guest is going to help us get that sorted out. Her name is Racheal Blackmore. She is a successful copy and content writer, specializing in brand recognition and digital marketing. Now, over the past 10 years, Racheal has owned and managed businesses as well as ghostwritten for hundreds of companies, bloggers, and solopreneurs. Most recently, she consults through her company, Blackmore Marketing Solutions, working with clients to explode their brand, voice, and story through what she calls the omnipresent digital footprint. What an awesome phrase. Racheal Blackmore, thank you so much for being on the show today. Welcome.
Thank you very much for having me, Ralph. I really appreciate it. It's an honor to be part of the show and asked to come on. So I'm excited to talk about copy and content and hopefully add a little value to the listeners to get out there and write some good stuff. Absolutely.
Now, well, first, tell us what you mean by the omnipresent digital footprint. That sounds very intriguing.
Sure. Yes, I have called it that because it is intriguing, but it's this idea that a business ought to have a platform digitally that is the same and on point no matter where someone is coming in contact with them. So it could be through email marketing, it could be through print material, it could be through social media or their website. But all of these things come together to say the same thing, to speak with the same voice, to use the similar tones, to really push forward and shape the narrative around this company or this individual, no matter where people are finding them. They are always the same and they're always out there on point with their content and their copy.
Okay, so it's kind of like an integrated communication. It's making sure that everybody's on the same story and that people are getting the same experience of your brand and your business wherever they may come across you online or in person or whatever. Does that sound about right?
That's right. This year I kind of seem to be on this kick about writing a content mission statement where it's not your mission statement that you're going out to the world with, but it's this content mission statement where you have crafted. I have a way of doing this, but it's through 10 questions and 5 tips, and you've crafted this mission statement so that everything that you're putting out there is can come up against a standard and can say, does this form to my business or does it not? And so we can kind of pitch it or we can post it. And I think that it's really important for businesses to start doing that right now because it's such a noisy space out there in marketing and digitally. And we tend to maybe outsource this here and outsource that there, and nobody is communicating, and there's no standard going forward. And so it's that kind of idea of across the board, our customers or our clients know what to expect from us because we're using the same kind of standard mission statement going forward.
Excellent. So what got you interested in in marketing and branding. This has been my background as well, and we all have a story that we tell that kind of is like, here's the eureka moment or struck by lightning or whatever. But it sounds like all of us kind of have a unique path of getting into marketing and communication. How did you get started down this path?
Sure. I've always wished that I could have the story of I went to school, I went to college, I loved writing, I got into it, and I've been successful from there on. But it's been far from it, and maybe another life, another time, I'll get to experience that. My story is that I have been a writer and have enjoyed that from very young, but have also loved building businesses from a very young age, and so I kind of skyrocketed in franchises, bought my first 2 franchises in my early 20s and began to grow and manage them. It was going very well. I grew one, sold it, tripled in membership for the time that I had it, sold that one, bought another one, and began to work with that one. The crux of the story happens on my second franchise, where I decided everybody is telling me that instead of word of mouth, instead of relying on people to kind of foot traffic to come in the door, that I need to go out there and start marketing and I need to advertise. So I began to just pour in all of the profits and then into all of our savings, into anybody who walked in the door and said, this I've got this business card size graphic that we can put on the back of a receipt or mailer or whatever, and this is going to get you X amount of ROI, and it's going to be fantastic. And so, okay, yes, I guess I need to do that. We'll go ahead and do that. We'll go ahead and do this and this, and
the park bench, the signs on the park bench and all of that.
Everything. You're not kidding. Everything. Everything. And then, because I was a writer, I had been ghostwriting for a lot for blogs and for social media and things. And I thought, I'm going to start to really pour that into my own business. And so I started writing blogs and Facebook and doing different newsletters, email marketing, that kind of thing. And what I found was that people reacted pleasantly to it. Everyone liked to read it. No one came in and said, I want to be a part of this. And so my thought was, well, I guess that I'm told I just need more reach. I just need more followers. I need more people to see it. And so I'm going to pour more and more and more money, to the tune of $15,000 in the last quarter that we were open, and not returning fast enough or at all. And we closed that business, went into bankruptcy, and I just found a rock to hide under for a little while after that.
And I like how you put that, though. It's the last quarter we were in business. That's not good.
Yes. So under that rock is where I found what I do today. And I started searching out what had happened. Why, if I'm advertising everywhere and I'm marketing everywhere and I've got these followers and I've got massive reach, is it not coming back to me in any kind of a return to be able to stay open? And I found copywriting. Prior to that, I really didn't even know what copywriting was or that copywriters existed. I was doing my own marketing. I was doing my own graphics and advertising and all of that, and having no idea. You just don't know what you don't know. And so I started with the Blackford Institute, went back to get a diploma in copywriting, started with one client and then another client and another client, and then found that I don't want to just do their sales copy. I don't want to just do the copy that they need. I really want to start in branding and building their business and building the digital platform and helping them understand the mistakes that I made and pushing their business forward. And so it's just built from there. That's what I do today, is take on clients and their whole, either work with their creative team or I am their creative team, and push that forward on all aspects on all different platforms for them.
Very cool. I mean, there's no education like failure. If you take the failure and you use it in a positive way, that's frankly that I learned more from my failures than I learned in my degrees and all the diplomas. Because that's where you make those distinctions. And unfortunately, you have to go through those things, to begin to build a reserve of wisdom of what works, mostly by learning the hard way what doesn't work. So,
right.
That's really cool. And I mean, one benefit of that is that you save your clients the hassle of making all those mistakes that you've already made, and you've already been down that path, and you can kind of help them out. But tell us a little bit more about who you work with and what is the biggest problem that you see over and over again with the people that you're helping.
Sure. I work with a lot of startups at this point, and it's sort of morphed into that. When I began helping with businesses and when I began taking on clients, it was more of the small to medium-sized businesses who had yet to really tap into copy and marketing and social media in general. And I still do work with those clients, but it seems that I tend to attract more startups, which is very fun for me because you really get the chance to pave that way for them and hopefully stop them from some of the pitfalls that I fell into, and really support as the business owner or as the company, knowing how difficult it is to get that startup off the ground and to really shape that narrative and to write that copy and to get the word out.
Yeah, it's really a blank slate, isn't it? So
it is. It's a very fun, yes, it's a very fun blank slate. That's exactly what it is for me to work with. Yep. But there are some businesses that have just not really tapped into the whole side of digital marketing. And, again, like I was doing everything that you can, that you know to do, but not even knowing that copy exists or why you would use it. And so I help them as well. So I would say that the biggest, problem that I am continually faced with in talking with business owners and individuals is that there's a lack of understanding of the purpose of social media and really grasping how putting your business out there, especially digitally. I do work some print, and I think that there's need for that as well. But really, in the digital age, of what it means to be out there and to really have that presence and to get true followers and to get the word out there in a sometimes organic, sometimes paid, often together way. So I see that time and time again where there's a misunderstanding of the importance of it or the longevity of which again goes back to the purpose and the importance of it, but the longevity of the scope of digital marketing.
It seems like it's either people overestimate what they think social marketing is going to do for them, or they underestimate its potential. And it sounds like they should probably approach it somewhere in the middle.
I agree. I think that there, again, we are in a very noisy space in the digital marketing age and world where if you're not careful, you hear all kinds of things about the hundreds of thousands of followers and the millions of followers and the importance of reach and all of those things. And we lack substance in the purpose of getting of those followers, or we think just put something out there and something is better than nothing, it'll be fine. And so there is that kind of pendulum swing where it's either we're just going to throw something up and it'll probably be fine, or we're going to work on a strategy and growth hack our way to getting reach. And I think that the beauty is found in the middle ground.
Very good. So what could someone do right now? I mean, we've got a lot of people on the show who are entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, or as I call them, Rebelpreneurs. What is something that they could do to begin to kind of dial this in, whether it's their social media or their brand, their voice, or their story? What is some things that they should probably keep in mind, or maybe a self-help process that they could go through that you wouldn't mind sharing?
Sure. First of all, I love the name Rebelpreneur. I think that's I resonate so much with that, and I think that's fantastic. And I think that it really coincides right with what we're talking about today of doing it differently, finding that purpose and longevity in what you're producing. So what you can start to do today is I have a free resource on my website called Copy That Converts, and I use that. That's the basis of what I teach when I go into lives or networking event, lives being Facebook Live and networking events and such. Really talking through those 10 questions to get the basis of what is my business. Let's look at it in all different ways. There's a couple of the questions just to kind of whet your appetite, so you know a little bit of what I'm talking about. Is what do I consider exciting that others feel is commonplace? I think that so often as business owners, I know I'm guilty of it for sure. We are passionate about what we are passionate about and assume that others feel the same way. And so when we're writing, we don't necessarily resonate with those people that are reading it or those people that are looking at it, because we're speaking from our point of view and not looking at it a little bit more globally. Is this something that people are passionate about, or do I need to show them why I'm passionate about this? Which is another question. How do we show and not tell? If I tell you quick right now, think of a blue tree. It's fairly foreign, and so you may think of a solid blue tree. But if I start to show you the texture of the bark and the different colors of the leaves and all of those things, then you begin to paint this picture in your mind that now you have buy-in into my blue tree, and we can move forward with whatever it is that I'm working on, whatever action I'm working on for you to take. What's the feeling behind my industry or my business? That goes to speaking to your voice. Is it inspirational and motivational? Is it some sort of frustration and you're really just trying to fix something, and out of that comes passion? There's all different kinds of voices and tones that we use that we want to bring into our copy and bring into our platforms. So there's 10 questions similar to those that go through so that you can begin, and 5 tips so that you can begin to really think more about what is this mission statement, why does it matter, so that you can craft the narrative around your business on all platforms, or so that you can outsource it and somebody knows your perspective of what's going on. It's very valuable for that as well.
That sounds really useful. And I think having tools like that to help business owners think about who they are and what it is they're doing and who they're trying to reach and what exactly is their business. I think those tools are so valuable because most people don't have time to sit down and think, or they really don't know what questions they should be asking themselves to get their business to where they want it to be. And so that sounds like a really useful tool. Having said that, one of the biggest things I think you help people with is you help them when they're struggling to do it themselves and they're not able to come up with answers to the good questions. And that's where they can work with someone like you. How would that really improve their chances for success?
Absolutely. I have an example of one of my clients right now. She's a coach in the salon and spa industry, and she's been in this industry for 30 years. She's incredibly knowledgeable. She's inspiring to listen to. She admittedly cannot write at all. I mean, she sits down and just goes blank. Yet if you talk to her, the sound bites, the articles that come from it, just having an hour-long conversation with a writer has opened up her marketing. Just completely opened it up. So we'll get on the phone and do a 1-hour interview, just her and I. I'm making notes, and out of that comes articles, her marketing, comes video, comes all of these things, because she knows what she knows, but she cannot write it. And so it's so helpful for her to say, get inside my head, be me, and make it in a way that markets my business well. And so I'm able to do that for her. And I think that that's such a beautiful example of an owner who just knows that she can rock it in some areas and is just not there in others. And when you can kind of admit that and find a person that will help you in those weaknesses, then your business can really start to grow.
Wow, that is so true, and it's so inspiring. Because, I think a lot of business owners, they tend to try to do everything themselves. And many of them, like myself, are very perfectionist, and you feel like you have to do this on your own. But not everybody is a writer. And even if they see the need for copy and for copywriting and these different things, it could take a long, long time to learn how to do things that other people already know how to do. So it makes sense. You do what you're good at and let someone like Racheal do what she's good at.
Yes, I love the partnership when you're talking to a business owner that gets that and really understands that I'm not going to try to figure out how to do what you're doing. Please just let me kind of spill all of this onto you, and you muddle through what's important and what's not important, and push this thing forward. And it's such a beautiful thing. I would have loved to, if I go back now and own businesses and never knew what I knew now, other than there are copywriters out there and there's a way to do this right. You're not just throwing money at, seeing what sticks. I would absolutely outsource that. You just don't know what you don't know. And I didn't know options like that existed, and thought I can figure this out on my own. I've been writing for a long time. I'm good at this. I'm fine, And it's so very different when you're talking about marketing and when you're talking about copy, and really just, again, shaping that narrative of the business along their entire digital presence to have the same voice and similar tones and message. It just makes a world of difference. And business owners are incredible people. I mean, it's very hard to be a business owner. You've got so much on your plate, and there's no checking out. And to add something that you are not passionate about and don't excel at, and maybe don't even know a whole lot about, is just not a wise decision. Focus on what you're good at. Outsource your weaknesses.
That's such good advice. And that will save people a lot of headache down the road. Probably save them a lot of headache right now. They're trying to beat their head against the wall, and they're not happy with their results. I'm sure that you have some resources that our listeners can tap into to kind of get the lay of the land and get your perspective on things. How can they access that?
Sure. Everything starts at BlackmoreMarketingSolutions.com. I've got a tab for free resources, and I try to put up as much as possible in terms of nuggets and value to do a quick read over, get a couple pointers or a couple tips that you wouldn't have known about before, and I regularly cycle those through and upload them. I have a no strings attached policy, so I won't ask for your firstborn or your email address or anything else for these free resources. They're truly free. You can subscribe so that you can get all of the resources and not have to keep checking back, but it's completely voluntary. And the resource that I spoke about earlier, Copy That Converts, is still live and available on the website. And I would really recommend just downloading it, reading through it, and working to go through those questions. When I sit and when I onboard a new client and I go through those 10 questions, as I am shorthanding all of my notes and then translating it onto a Word document. It's regularly 2,000 to 2,500 words. It's an in-depth study of really answering these questions. So just take an hour. If you're not a writer and you don't want to do all of that, you could record yourself, on a recording device. It doesn't have to be video, but just start speaking it, just start saying it, start mulling over it and thinking over it. And but obviously, I'm a proponent of outsourcing if you can. So I would go through to that step if you can, but if not, to start today, at least start answering those questions and seeing how it shapes your copy online.
That's awesome. And so the website address is blackmoremarketingsolutions.com.
Yes.
Awesome. Well, this has been really, I'm always motivated when I talk to another marketer and get their perspective on things. And this has really been good. Any final thoughts or words of wisdom that you'd like to leave us with as we wrap up?
My words of wisdom comes from my grandmother. Her name was Marion Landers, and she was a steel guitar player in the day with Johnny Cash and just some of the big names. She was an amazingly strong woman, and she was stricken with very bad rheumatoid arthritis and some other autoimmune diseases that took her out of being able to tour with them and kind of took her out of her dream. And when I was a teenager, I went and spent a summer with her. She lived on Laguna Beach, and so it was a terrible place to have to spend a summer as a teenager. But I was talking to her and asking her those questions about what advice would you have for me, and what was it like? And I remember her telling me that the one thing that you always need to remember is that you never want to do the hard thing, but once you do the hard thing, it will feel right and everything will flow from there. And I feel like in this digital space of grab at whatever followers you can, throw money to get however much reach you can, that to really just dial all of that down, to settle down for a minute, choose the hard thing, choose writing good copy, choose writing good content, choose really engaging with your followers in order to get them to engage back with you. That is the hard thing right now. But if you choose that, it will feel right. It will feel true. And all of those other things that you're trying to have happen for your business will flow from there.
Good advice from Racheal Blackmore. She is a copy and content writer. She specializes in brand recognition and digital marketing, and you can find out more and get that free resource, Copy That Converts, by visiting blackmoremarketing.com. Racheal, it's been a real pleasure to have you on the show today. Thanks so much for being here and sharing your wisdom with us.
Thank you again for having me. I really appreciate it.
You've been listening to Rebelpreneur Radio with Ralph Brogden. Download the show notes and much more at ralphbrogden.com.